Hello and welcome to Pitch Perfect. We are a flesh and blood podcast that aims to educate, empower, and support the female community in flesh and blood. I am one of your hosts, Elaine. Hi. And then we also have Melody here with us today, as
Kia
usual.
ora.
Say hi. Yeah, it's just the two of us today, and we don't really know what we're talking about. We're just sitting down. We're sitting down, we're talking. This is what we did for the New Year's episode that never came out
Oh, yeah.
because the footage got lost. So we're gonna try it again. We'll probably answer some of y'all's questions um from that episode that we answered them, but you didn't hear the answers. So we'll do it again. But in other news, this weekend. It's Thursday right now. This weekend is the last weekend of ProQuest. How have your ProQuest been going so far, Melody? How has your flesh and blood career been the last
In
few
my
months?
flesh and blood career, ProQuest has been amazing. I think we've probably seen it all over socials, but the meta is beautiful and diverse. I've played
Mm-hmm.
2 ProQuests so far. I'm losing track of time. The first weekend, I think, of ProQuest, I played one in my local hometown, which is in Tauranga in New Zealand. And I think we had about 18 people. So we had people come from all over the country.
How many people? Sorry.
18. Did,
18. Okay.
yeah. Did you think I said 80,
Okay.
not 80? That'd be lovely.
Well,
No,
yeah, yeah. I couldn't tell if you said 80 or 18, but
no, we
yeah,
had 18.
18. All right.
And I was the only Dromai player. Yes. Which I was like, oh, I thought maybe some others from another city were going to come with Dromai, but they didn't manage to make it. So we had a mix of everything. I think we had an Azalea, we had Briar, Lexi, you name it, Oldham, Bravo, every single hero pretty much was represented there. I personally did really well. I was just hoping to win one game. I was like, okay, cool. If I can win a game, then I'll be happy. And I managed to place third. Um, so I was pretty excited. I had a really tough matchup with Dory. Bloody Dory.
Yeah.
And that player, he ended up winning it. His name's Zach from Hamilton. He's a brilliant Dory player. He's a main. Like, he's been playing Dory since the beginning of time. Um, but yeah, it was really cool. Not Elaine. Oh my gosh, your name's just escaped me. She was there too. Adrian was there. Her and her partner were there. So Adrian was on Briar. And she hasn't played Flesh and Blood for a couple of months, I think. She came second, which was
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
We were the only
Yeah.
two females there. Like, none of the other girls came to play, but that's cool. And then I played in another ProQuest in Hamilton, which is about an hour and a bit away. And there were Matt Rogers was there, Dennis was there. Like, there were 4 older mains, and you know, pretty much one of the best Oldham players in the country, alongside Matt Rogers, and it was just guardian crazy. Like, Kale was there as well on Bravo. Um, it was tough. Like, my first matchup was against Oldham, and I really struggle into him on Jeremiah, but I've got some good things lined up for the calling. But it's really interesting that I think ice has been quite prevalent. Ice heroes, Icelander, Oldham, Lexi.
How many people were at that second ProQuest?
I
I
think
did
there
you
were
say? I didn't.
25.
25. Okay, so a little bit bigger. Yeah, speaking of ice, yeah, ice has been very prevalent and I feel like drama has been pretty underrepresented, like less represented than I thought she would be. But also I'm like just now thinking about it as you're talking about ProQuest. Yesterday we also had the BnR announcement, so we can talk about that too. Um
Yes.
but yeah. You did really well at ProQuest. I like how you're like, oh, I just want to win one game, and
Just
then you
one.
finished
And
third.
then yeah, like it was pretty awesome. Yeah, anyway, let's talk about you. How have your
Oh, we
PQs
don't have to
been?
do that.
Let's talk about
They've
them.
been all right.
Yeah.
They've been all right. I've played in 3 ProQuests, and I'm playing in one more on Saturday.
Hoo-hoo.
The first one was 30, and they've all been like around like 36 people, six
Wow.
rounders. Let's see. The first one I bubbled out. Like I bubbled out at like 10th place at two of them. The first one and the last one. Um so the first one was supposed to be it like we had people join late, so it should have been 6 rounds with how many people we had. Um but it was only 5 rounds because we
Oh,
had started round one before they joined, so it kind of like threw things off.
I thought you
But I
people couldn't
lost
join
my
after it started.
I have no clue, but it just ended up because like when
Mm.
round one started, we only had so many people, so it was like 5 rounds, and then more people joined, and they were like, "Oh, well, technically it should be six," but we already started. I don't know, but I know that we should have had an extra round, and I wish we would have had an extra round. Oh, I'm playing Briar this ProQuest season,
Hmm.
and I'm really loving it. I honestly like I don't know. I don't know. Like the Dromai matchup is one of my least favorites. The Wizard matchup that day, I lost my win it in to an Icelander. I had beat a Kano. That was the first weekend that Saturday, and I felt like I wanted to change some things about my deck for the Wizard matchup. And
Mm.
then I'm glad that I did because the next day I played three Wizards, two
Oh,
Icelanders, and one
really?
Kano. Yeah, and like my deck performed a lot better with the changes I made against the Wizard matchups. I felt a lot more comfortable and I got those games, except one of the Icelanders. It was like an insane game. I was up like 20 life, and then they Amulet of Earth, Insidious Chill, and either Ice Vein comboed like 3 turns in a row where I had all red hands, and it was just like this is anyway, that was like a really good game. Honestly, if I can say anything about this ProQuest season, like I've um had really good games of Flesh and Blood. Like I
Mm.
haven't played a game and felt like, oh, I just kind of lost like to whatever the draw is. Like no, it's like even my losses, it's like they came back and won that game, and like it was really impressive to see even as an opponent. And there's been games like that too where like I've come back to win that game and I feel really proud of it. So I've played a lot of good games of Flesh and Blood. And yeah, so 3 ProQuest, one more to try again.
Wow.
I've been really enjoying it. I really like there's been a lot of talk about if this meta is like good for new players or not, or like just kind of good in general, but I really have been loving this. Is probably my favorite meta that we've had since I started playing Flesh and Blood. Honestly, I've really that might, people might disagree, that might be controversial, but I've really been loving it. What about you? Do you agree,
Yeah,
disagree?
I agree too. Like I played in the last ProQuest, but I was all shiny and new and on Viz, and I just remember even back then being a lot of Oldham. And to be fair, in my LGS, it's always pretty diverse. Like everyone's kind of like, "Woohoo! I'm gonna go with this hero." But I think at ProQuest, it really showed just how varied it is. And I've seen all the, I don't want to say controversy, but I've seen the um, arguments, I guess, around it being a very low variance meta. So, if you're playing really, really well, then the likelihood is that you're gonna win, as opposed to high rolling with
Mhm.
Stavo or whatever. But I do agree
I
that
don't know.
it's
That's like
potentially low variance, like if you're playing really good people. But I just think that it's healthy in that we've got all heroes out coming out to play that actually have a chance at winning, as opposed to two or three.
I feel like I might be in the minority in this opinion, but I think that the low variance is kind of good for player base. Like I understand that like with Starvo you can kind of high roll your you can kind of high roll your way into wins and into like top eights and stuff. I
Mm,
mean, like new players can, right? I was one of
mm.
them. I joined first pro quest I went to was with Starvo, and I high rolled my way through wins, I did that until Starvo LL'd. And it was like, obviously skilled players were still winning events, but it was really easy to be like, oh my gosh, like, wow. But it wasn't until I saw like someone with really great skill take down the ProQuest like on a non-Starvo deck that I kind of realized like, oh, this is a really good game. And like that's what made me want to like actually fully dive into the game. Because it kind of feeds into that idea that like every hero could potentially be viable if you know your matchups really well and know
Hmm.
your deck really well. And like that's part of what I think makes Flesh and Blood like such a good game, right? Is that it rewards it's a very rewarding game. You put in the work, you get the reward. Even if you're not running a meta deck, it could still happen for you. And that's part of why I love it so much. So I don't really like the metas where you can just kind of like high roll your way
Oh, I
into
don't
it. Like
like that
even
either. It's
if it's
horrible.
like technically like, oh, maybe it's better for new players because they can perform better because they are less experienced, but like that's what motivated like seeing that is what motivated me to want to put in more work and time into the game as a new player, right? Not just high rolling my way into wins, but the realization that if I put in the work, I could be a lot better. And like,
Mm,
putting in the work, the game would reward me. So I don't know. I bottom line is I really like the meta. I think it's in a
same.
good healthy spot. But segue into that might be changing with this BnR announcement that we just saw.
Woohoo!
Like
Love it.
selfishly,
Mm.
I'm really excited because I am a filthy Briar player, and I know that she'll probably LL really soon after January 30th. It is very like the potential for that could be high. But I don't care because I can just go wild and play her until then, right? And I'm like selfishly, I'm really excited. I did not see most of that coming though. Winter's Whale, I felt like that came out of nowhere. That like really
Yes.
shocked me. What do you think?
That was, I thought, yeah, I thought maybe Crown of Seeds, but it's a legendary, right? I love that they've done that to Oldham. That Winter's Well is gone. Like it's such a beautiful card to play, right? Like you might pitch a nice card. They've got to drop everything, and then it's just crazy. Now, it's removed that element from the gameplay. So I've played a couple of Oldham since that announcement. Um, the other
W-
day, I just finished playing one actually. But
Were
now
they
they've
were they
gone to.
were you playing it? You were playing it like without Winter's Whale, like with the BNR
No, I
announcement
wasn't playing. I was
without
playing against
essentially.
it.
Right.
Yeah, and so now people have, changed it up with Titan's Fist. Um, and have you seen the deck list and the deck, Elaine, that they're now playing? I think it's Dennis Shang. He won the ProQuest that I was at 2 weeks ago. It's the one where Oldham lifes himself up to the eyeballs and runs Sunkiss.
Yeah, like
It is horrible. It's not a
so
very fun
toxic.
deck to, yeah, but the game I just played, I won. And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like
Woohoo!
yeah, I really struggle into Oldham, so winning a match, especially the new one, was awesome. But I think that I like that ban for Oldham. I think hypothermia, meh, for Icelander. She's still a boss without it. I mean, it will allow people to go a little bit
I was
wider.
really As a Briar player, I was really happy to see hypothermia go. I mean, my embodiments of lightning actually mean something again, and my I'll never snappies and get hypoed and just have them mean nothing. It hurts. And I'm really I hate that card and I hate amulet of ice. I'm so
Well, I
I'm
still
really
think she's going to be awesome. And I mean, yeah, like Iceland is still a boss, and I didn't really have a problem with it on Dromai. Like you just choose your battles, right, with whatever you've got in your hand. If you
Hmm.
can't use a dragon, then I'll come in with a command and conquer or a knight and strike for 7. Whatevs. Um, but what was the other card that was banned? There's belittle. Yes,
Belittle, yeah, belittle, yeah.
love it.
I,
No more five freaking belittles, katsu belittles. Get out of here. I thought I was surprised at it, but I actually thought it was going to get banned a lot earlier than this announcement.
I thought it was gonna get banned a lot earlier than this announcement too.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I was happy about that too. The fies here just they run rampant. At every ProQuest I've been to, like the Fi has been like at least a third of the field at all of them, and
mm.
I've made the joke at every single one where I'm like, okay, we should just have like two brackets at this ProQuest. Make all the fives battle it out. It can even be a double elimination bracket because they're gonna be done before we're probably done with our rounds, right? Make all the fives battle it out, and then like we'll take the one ultimate fi and put them in top four just automatically, right? Because fi does deserve a spot there. It's a good hero right now, but like I
Mm.
don't feel like fighting fives all day.
No.
I'm tired of racing fives all day as Briar. Um so like my five matchups and my ice matchups, like I was so excited to see them all get nerfed. But Winter's Whale was the biggest surprise to me. Like I guess I wasn't expecting out of the ice cards to get banned. I wasn't expecting hypothermia or amulet of ice. Um, but still, when they got banned, I was just like, huh, okay. When I saw Winter's Whale on that list, I was like, Winter's Whale? What? I felt like there was no talk about it. But then reading like the article on it, I thought that LSS, they kind of, I don't know that it was ever. I never felt like oppressed by it, but then until like I read the BnR announcement and then started thinking about it, and I'm like,
It's hugely oppressive.
that is like a really really good winter's whale. Like I've never been like scared of winter's whale, so to say, but that is a really good weapon. And I
With
run
all the
wizard of
other
mine, so I
tools
feel like you
and
can't talk too
that
much.
Oldham has,
But
it's hugely
right,
oppressive.
I thought it was they brought up the point that this is a one-handed weapon too, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
makes a huge difference. Like if it was a two-handed weapon, I don't think it would have been as big of a deal, but I've never thought about that before. And the fact that like Oldham can run that and then still run like stalagmite or
Yes.
rampart,
So
that's
to give
kind of
you,
ridiculous.
like, how many
Kind of really
frostbites
good.
and
It's probably
can you
why they're
get?
doing it.
Yep.
Exactly,
He's
exactly.
he has so many tools. So I think Winter's Well is a good start. I'm going to say start
Yeah.
LSS. Start. But other than
Good
that,
start. Keep
yeah, good
nerfing the old
start.
man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's in the meta's 100% going to change. So now I'm expecting in our calling in a couple of weeks to see freaking lifed up Oldhams on 54 bloody life, but that's okay. You just got to figure out your game plan into him, but it's going to be very Oldham heavy.
I might be like completely wrong about this, and it's just a thought I just now had, so I haven't done
Mm,
any research on it. But like in my time here, I feel like this BNR announcement was the one that like I read that I immediately was like, this is gonna be really impactful to the meta. Like I feel like in my time here, at least I can't speak before I was here, but this BNR announcement, I feel like is gonna shake up the meta more than I've seen any other one do. Aside from like Heroes Living Legend and all of that. But like,
mm.
um, like I feel like this is a pretty impactful BNR announcement.
Does
I don't
Briar
know. What
run
do you
belittle?
think? Not current. I mean, like when Matt Folks won, he ran belittle and it got pretty popular after that. But no, not really anymore.
No. Okay.
I haven't seen a whole lot of belittle Briar, and my deck doesn't run it. It's more of like the traditional Briar, just like go fast,
Hmm.
go fast Briar.
Sorry, what was your question? I sidetracked. I was like, oh, does she run belittle?
Oh, do you feel like this BNR? I was saying that I feel like this BNR announcement is going to shake up the meta more than any BNR announcement that I've seen since I started playing. Do
Mm.
you agree or disagree?
I I don't know if it's going to have a huge impact on the meta. It's going to, like, with Oldham, he's going to have to change his strategy up a bit. I think Iceland is still super strong. The ice heroes are still super strong without hypothermia. Amulet of Ice, like, they've got what's the card? Of just the one that the 3 version of
Arctic
amulets.
incarceration? Oh no,
No, the aura that does the same thing. You fuse and then the person has to pay
I don't
too
know.
or discard a card. I can see it in my head. And
Sleep
it's got like the
ice.
naked lady in it. The blue naked lady.
Oh, you
She's
mean
naked.
Insidious,
That's it.
Insidious
Insidious.
chill?
That's it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they've still got that, right? Like that is an incredible card to
yeah.
disrupt.
But like, it is a really good card. But I don't know when one of them are on the board, I'm not as scared or it's not as impactful as when both of them are on the board. Like I'm not saying it's gonna be just like, oh, she's out the meta, automatic win, uh, because it's not like that. Iceland is still gonna be a rough matchup and still be very prevalent here. But like
Mm,
times like that, like combo, like I think I just have like a little bit of like war flashbacks, so to say, um,
PTSD.
from yeah, PTSD from the Insidious Chill Amulet of Ice, Aether Ice Vein, 3 turns in a row
Yes.
combo. 'Cause, like, I
Hmm.
could have dealt with it, right? I could have like done something, but no, it's just kind of like, okay, well, there's my entire hand. Um, 3 turns in a row, like to have to take like 3 turns off is just like bleh,
Mm.
really
I
painful,
think like
right?
it's removed some
Um,
threats, but I think the heroes that have been impacted have enough cards available to them to change their strategy without them. Like it is
yeah.
going to allow for decks that go wide. Briar, fly, it's not going to stop them, but that just means, okay, as a nice hero, what am I going to do? Am I going to fuse and give you 5 freaking frostbites or whatever? Like, I don't know if there's going to be a huge change. I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with the calling and how people are playing. But talking to ice mains, Icelander mains, like Georgia, for example, she's like, meh. Um,
Yeah.
Oldham are just like, meh, I'm just going to life myself up and then kill you with my Titan's fist. People just adapt. So I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'm just mainly
Yes.
excited selfishly to get those 2 cards out of the way just for myself. I just don't
I'm
enjoy
so happy
playing
that
against
Belittle is
them.
gone. That's probably Belittle and Winter as well. Bring me the most joy. Yeah.
Yeah, belittle. I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited belittle's gone. I don't like even like playing it. I don't know.
Especially
It's
when
just
they're
kind
running
of like
5 of the
a
bastards.
boring like it's not even that I don't like playing against it. I just it's
Mm,
like kind of boring deck building and just in my personal opinion. Like even playing a belittle deck, it's just kind of like belittle, reveal, go search. Like it's just I don't know.
mm,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just think it's a little meh. It's really
yeah.
good. It is
It
really
is
good.
very good. I think
I'm
Fi
just
now
excited
has.
to like see what else can be done like with these decks without belittle because it maybe like a crutch is the right word. I just feel like it's kind of like a crutch for aggro decks. It's a little boring.
Yes, but
We'll see
Fi
though.
has Flame Call
I'm excited.
Awakening, right? So
Uh huh.
it can still call back. I mean, it's not a blue, it's a red, but you can still use it to pitch, and it is a ash ring. So there's all sorts of stuff they can do. So I don't think. Yeah, Fi's still gonna go like crazy.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Let's get in. We don't have a whole lot of time. But let's ask some of the questions from our New Year's episode that never got answered.
Okay,
So
it's
our
only
first
the 27th
question.
of January. Cool. All right, let's do it.
Yep. Jim from Fab TCG Cards says, "What plans do you have for the podcast in 2023? Any chances of a live show at an event with you both together in person? Has the female Fab community grown over y'all's passing podcasting time? How much? And lastly, will there be more spicy pickles?" That is a many questions at once. I should have just gone one by one. But let's start with the first one. What plans do you have for the podcast in 2023? Um, our 2023 goal was to
We've not
be
met those
more
goals.
more consistent with our release schedule, and we have not been doing a good
No, we have
job
not.
about
No,
it
we have not.
because it is currently obviously because we're using episodes from our New Year's questions from our New Year's episode. Um, but besides that, I will say that Pitch Perfect as a entity, as a brand, has some
Mm.
exciting things coming in 2023 that have been in the works for a very long time now, and hopefully. In 2023, we're gonna make them happen, and I don't want to give too much away, but we are trying to move away. Not we're not trying to move away from podcasting. We're trying to move away from podcasting being like our main role in the community and getting into some other stuff as to why we created Pitch Perfect in the first place. So we're excited about that. Do you have anything to add, Melody?
No, you covered that really well. I mean, the consistency. Yes, we're going to be working on that. I'd like to touch on, and I want to put this out there, and you and I actually haven't talked about this, talking about it openly, is, and we'd love feedback from everyone, is we are contemplating a Patreon.
Yeah,
So we've discussed a
to help.
Patreon to help.
Yeah.
So just to give y'all an idea, as you may or may not know, it takes a lot of time to edit videos. Obviously, we both work full time. This isn't a pity story like, oh my gosh, give them all the money. But we thought that, you know, and a few people have also recommended it would start a Patreon, and the money would basically go towards the editing. And I don't know how much money we'd make, but anything else that we might need for the show. And we would love your thoughts on what you think about that. We're also thinking, well, because usually with Patreons, you have different tiers, and at this tier, you get this much, and at another tier, you get, little bonuses. Um, if you have any ideas about what bonus sort of stuff we could give or added value we could add to a Patreon, that would be amazing. Um, so that's something that we've been toying with.
Yeah. Yeah, if you like Melody said, if you have any ideas on things you might would want from a Patreon or if you would even support a Patreon, we'd like feedback on it. Currently I edit these episodes and like Melody said, we both work full time. My computer is not an editing computer. It is just a computer. And it takes a lot of time and that is I'll take full blame for that like consistency with releases cuz sometimes I'm like, "Oh, this will come out." And then, life happens. It's like, "Okay, this is not coming out for
Mm.
another 3 days." And that is just gonna have to be what it is. And it's pretty frustrating to like have to accept that reality, but it just is the reality. So we would like to, you know,
Float the idea.
float the idea of a Patreon so that we can raise funds to get someone who knows how to edit in the first place to do this
You
and
do
get
a
a
great
more
job
consistent schedule for you guys.
with a
I
computer that
try.
works really well.
I watch a lot of YouTube videos and anyway, next question.
Mm,
Any chance of a live show at an event with you both together in person? Wouldn't that be awesome?
yes. When he says
I'm
any
not
chance,
sure.
absolutely. There's always a possibility. Let's put it
Yeah,
at that.
always a
Leave it at that.
possibility, but we
Mm.
have no current plans. But
Jeez.
I'm gonna save some money and
Yeah.
maybe if LSS wants to have an event somewhere that we could both get to,
Mhm.
or an event in New Zealand with plenty of time warning. I'm very excited about the Calling Auckland, but I cannot go to that on such
Yeah.
short notice, unfortunately. But yeah, there's always a chance.
Yes.
We would think that that would be really cool, and we would also like to meet. We're great friends, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Has the female fab community grown over y'all's time podcasting? I want to say, I mean, yeah, okay. Well, first of all, yes, I think it's definitely grown just because Fab has grown since we started
Mm.
this podcast. So I'm not gonna contribute that growth to us, but I will say that Melody and don't I don't think we talk about this very much. But we do get like quite a few messages
Hmm.
from from people being like, "Oh, I saw y'all's podcast. I'm so happy I found this. This gave me the courage to start going to events. Maybe like I found Fab through you guys." We do get those messages, and that means like literally most of the time I cry. I'll be very honest
There's some
when I get
very
this, but it means
teary.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really awesome.
Mm.
And so I hope that continues, and I hope that we can. I keep like kind of smacking my lips. That's probably really loud. I'm sorry, but I
You're all
hope
right.
that that continues, and yeah, those messages really do mean the world to us, and just kind of make us want to keep doing what we're doing and keep
Mm.
planning even bigger and better things. So yeah,
I definitely think the female. You're right. The female community's definitely grown. I don't think that is a direct result of our podcast, but I definitely
no,
do
yeah, no,
think that um, we make a difference to some people, and that's all I care about. Like if we're
yeah,
reaching a couple of people, that's cool. Um, and if it gives them the confidence and the courage to play or to get outside of their comfort zone, then we're doing what we intended to. So, yeah.
yep, I totally agree. And last question from Jim is, will there be more spicy pickles? Jim, there are always more spicy pickles. I
Jim.
just had my mom send me some in the mail from
Oh,
Louisiana,
are you
more spicy
serious?
pickles. I every time we record, I have like a stress like pickle, like it's just a squishy pickle. I play with it. I have to fiddle with something and it is a pickle. So there's always spicy pickles. All right. We're going to move on to this
Yes,
question.
let's move on, please. Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Okay, yes.
Melody,
Yes.
this question, which guys, I'm like, this is what I'm most sad about from that got lost in the New Year's episode because
Oh,
I
no.
spiraled for like at least like almost like probably a good like solid 5 minutes. I spiraled
Yes.
when I read this question. I thought I had like an answer before coming on the podcast, and then I was talking through it
In
and
great
I
detail.
just was spiraling.
Mm.
Mhm.
So
So the
let's keep
question
it
comes from
concise. Let's keep our responses
yeah.
concise. Yeah, okay, cool.
Well, our question
Oh,
is
no.
not answered, but I so the question comes from Adam D, Moonside Man,
Mhm.
great cosplayer.
Mm.
He says, "Would you rather fight 50 shock striker sized frightmares or one frightmare sized shock striker?" Melody, take us away.
I would rather fight one frightmare-sized shock striker. What about you, Elaine?
Well, gosh, I still don't know. Like I
Oh,
think I
no.
agree with you. So originally I came on here and I was so confident. I would rather size fight 50 shock striker size frightmares, right? Just little tiny things, squish them all. It's fine. And then I started realizing that frightmare like has what okay,
Oh,
so
no,
my
we're gonna
question
count the
is,
heads.
Adam, no, do on the Frightmare card, there's a man on that Frightmare on that horse. Okay, in Frightmare, there's a man on that horse. Do I also have to fight the man? Because then I'm fighting 100 little things, and Frightmare has 3 heads, so I'm fighting 400 heads. I was spiraling with this math
If you
last
can
episode.
imagine,
There's a lot
listeners, how this
that's a
went.
lot of
Yeah.
heads.
Mhm.
That's a lot of heads.
Yep.
That is a ton of heads. And
And, like,
that kind of stresses me. Like,
entrails.
yeah, the amount of heads, and like if you're also fighting the little man, he can detach himself, jump off that horse,
Isn't he headless,
and
though?
gotta
He's
pull
a
up a picture
headless
of Frightmare now.
horseman, so he's not gonna be able to see very much.
Oh wait, I have a Frightmare in here.
Oh, it's one I prepared
Let's
earlier.
see. Oh, here it is. This is one. Let's see. He's got a head. It looks like he's got like a sack over his head or something. But Frightmare has
Oh,
3 heads,
yeah.
and he's got a big sword. So like if I'm fighting a 3-headed horse with guts coming out of him, and but birds kind of freak me out, like a giant bird just kind of like pecking at you as you run around trying to avoid its big
Picking
old
at
pecker. Like I don't enjoy that either.
you. God.
And I'm just really torn because like this is a sharp sword, and I got weak ankles already.
Oh my
So
god.
I think I have to go with the bird, even though that kind of freaks me out too, and I'm trying
I
not to
think
spiral
I
too
think
much.
what
But every
the
time I think
bird,
about this
it'll
question,
be
I do.
fine. We'll be fine.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Adam, for that
What
question. Oh my
Adam has another question.
god. Okay.
What are your 2023 Fab TCG goals? Mine is simply to play more and have a fully cosplayed draft pod. What are your goals this year, Melody?
Mm, that's cool. What am I? I want to improve my game. That's all. Um,
Hmm.
I'd like to win a skirmish this year. Like, I have little goals, like you know, top four, top two, whatever in skirmish, but I'd like to win one. But yeah, really just honing my game. That's because I've been playing for 9 months now, and I'd like to do a little bit better this year.
Yeah. I think winning a skirmish is cool. That's a good place to start. I'd like to debut a calling. I haven't done that yet. And I would
Mm.
like to. I know I'm good enough to, so I just need to like do it. And a fully cosplay draft pod. I'm gonna go ahead and take your goal, and also Adam. I feel like we go to the same events a lot in cosplay. So if you're ever trying to organize that and you're at an event and there's like word of that going around being
You're talking to
organized,
Adam, right?
please. I am talking directly to Adam right now. Yeah.
Okay, all right,
one
cool.
eight hundred Adam B. Yeah. That was, yes, that was to you, Adam. If you're ever organizing that, please let me know. I would like to participate. Okay. Next question comes from Captive Goat. What fab release would most excite you in 2023? I want more warrior stuff, especially some adult Kasai.
Mm.
So I talked about wanting a really, really good draft experience in 2023. I really enjoyed the Uprising draft, which I know not everyone felt that
I
way, but I
loved
think it was just kind of
Uprising.
like
Mm.
I liked it. It was, I think part of that was like that was my first draftable set that I was a part of for the premiere, and so it was
Yes.
just like really exciting to be a part of in general and be able to draft with new cards. And I really wanted a good, interesting, like a draft set that took a new approach to draft. And so far with Outsiders, that looks like it's already going to come check off our checklist. Um, but also, yeah, an adult Kasai, I would be leader of the adult Kasai cult. I would never ask for anything ever again. What about you, Melody?
Uh, hmm. I'd like to see more a new illusionist, which I think we're going to get
Hmm.
potentially this year, a light illusionist. I never played Prism, but after trying out the Iris Stroma, I'm like, well, this could work. Um, and I would like to see more Viserai support. Like the new cards that came out for him in Dynasty, they're okay. Um, but I think, yeah, I think we can do better for Runeblades. Um, I am the same as you. I'm looking forward to a great draftable set, and I'm banking on outsiders to give us that. I'm cannot
Mhm.
wait. Like, and we've got ninjas in there. We've got bloody Katsu and Benji in there. How crazy is that? Like, it's going to be so interesting.
Yeah, the like ranger ninja dichotomy I think is pretty interesting in the first place, but then also seeing like dual classes, I think should
Yes.
be really. I think like that sounds spicy. I want to draft it.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. How much time do we have? How much longer do we have you for, Melody?
Another 10 minutes.
That's not a listener question. That was just me making sure we don't run out of
And how much more time do we have?
time.
Yeah, I'm not going to be with us for much longer, guys. Oh
Right when I said it, I was like, "Wait a minute, that
my
probably
god.
sounded like a listener
Everyone
question."
starts
But
freaking out.
okay,
What? What's
um,
Melody doing? Okay. Yes, we
what
can get
is
to our
going on?
questions.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Melody is here to stay,
Mm,
but
mm.
only has 2 more minutes to record, so we're gonna jump right in. So the next question comes from Queen Kiki, widow of Arclight. Said, "What? Who were your biggest influences in 2022 for Flesh and Blood?" It does say for.
Ah,
Um, Influences is a really strong word. There are a lot of people that I grew really close to in Flesh and Blood this year, obviously, and a lot of people that mean a lot to me on my Flesh and Blood journey and just now in life in general. Um, but honestly, this is kind of I think out of a little bit out of left field, but my biggest influence, like Flesh and Blood influence, the person who had the biggest influence on my Flesh and Blood career, my goodness, I don't know why that didn't come out right, was Josh Lau from the Card Guys. He's a warrior player. I first played when I truly got hooked on Flesh and Blood, it was with a Dorinthia Blitz deck, and I that was on a Tuesday, and then that Saturday I went to a ProQuest, and I made my Blitz deck into a CC deck with Dorinthia, having never played a game of CC in my life, and I did put a lot of work into it, to be fair. But it was still a bad deck because I'd never played CC before, and I didn't understand how to play actual Flesh and Blood yet. I hadn't even been playing a week, and I went to the Pro Quest. Everyone said Dorinthia is not a good hero. This was second week of the Starbow Meta Pro Quest, right? The very first Pro Quest season, second week of that. So they said that's not a good hero. You need to play Starbow. So I did. That very morning, I was already at the venue, put my Dorinthia deck away, bought a box of Tails, built a Starvo deck, played the Starvo deck, did all right. I think I went like 3-4 or something. Um, but Josh Lau was at the event and he got all the way to the finals with Dorinthia, played in the finals and lost in the finals with Dorinthia. And two of the people I was there with, or three of the people I was there with, made top eight. So I stayed and watched the top eight matches and watched Josh Lau. Um, yeah, come play all the way finals, semifinals, I really don't remember, but basically he took Dorinthia really far, and I just watched the perfect craftsmanship of Josh Lau play these games on Dorinthia. I had so much respect. My mind was completely open to the actual game of Flesh and Blood and the idea that it rewards you for knowing your matchups, and you can take a non-viable hero or a non-meta hero and do really well with it if you're just creative with it and you know the game really well and you know your deck really well, you know the matchups really well. And that just like opened my eyes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a good game. And afterwards I was like, hey, can I talk to you about your Dorinthia deck? I went up and asked him because I was like, I just started playing. I wanted to play Dorinthia. Told him kind of like that story I just told you, and he was like, yeah, I have to do an interview because they were streaming it. He was like, I have to do an interview, but here's my deck. I'll be right back. Just handed me his deck. I went through it. When he came back, he separated the sideboard for different matchups. Like, let me take pictures of it, walked me through it. It was just like a really
oh, that's
impactful
cool.
moment of yeah, it's just like then he's a great guy. We've met several times since then. And I don't know that I've ever told him how impactful that was for me, but just like really that's what kind of opened my eyes to what Fab was as a game, and made me want to really keep playing, and just also open my eyes to like the how generous some of these people are in this community. So yeah, I would say that's my biggest. He was my biggest influence in Flesh and Blood this past year. What about you? Who's your biggest influence?
I don't have a. No one's really influenced me. Like I remember this question. Um, Definitely inspired. I think by
Hmm.
different players, whether it's um the hero that they play, that they do really well with, or their play style, or their commitment to the game and dedication. Um, there are loads of people that I'm inspired by, but influence probably not. Um, I'm trying to think of who I find inspiring. I don't actually have anybody off the top of my head. That's the end of that
Influence is a
question.
big word.
Yeah, influence is a
Yeah.
big, like, like, I don't think
Well,
there have been huge influences for me. No. Like,
yeah,
I
influence
watch
is a
great
big word.
players, yeah, and I'm like, wow, like they're magicians. And yeah, they know their decks, they know their matchups, they're very, very good. Um, but that's an inspiration to be like, wow, I'd like to be that good. And I'd like to have that, level of knowledge about the game and strategy or strategic thinking side of things. But yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess in that instance, it's just like I don't know, influence the way I thought about the game,
Mm.
and the card game community as a whole. Because my only experience before that was at Magic the Gathering events, and I like or I never played in a Magic Gathering event. I should say that, but like being around the Magic the Gathering community was my only experience in card games before that, and I never had an experience like that where it was like, okay, I feel welcome. I want to keep playing this game. This is actually like something this is I can see myself here and think of the game differently than I had thought about it in the community differently before. Um all right, let's see. Lynette, Fabled Hero in Z, another wonderful cosplayer, says most memorable moment of 2022. I'm just gonna that moment obviously was very memorable for me, and meeting Steve Argyle in Vegas when he turned me an
Mm.
Icelander because he recognized my Icelander cosplay. That was really special to me. But how about you?
Most memorable moment. I kind of remember what I said last time, but I think I said the same thing. Um, it's all actually relating to the private messages that we've had come through Pitch Perfect, and there's one in particular that stands out for me that was sent to me personally through my Facebook, and it was from someone who's not in my local scene, but somebody that I know really well. And you and I we had an episode and we were talking about toxic behavior,
Yeah.
and how like how you can deal with it and all that sort of stuff. And I actually talked about a specific example, and I named the person. I'm not going to name them again. But I talked about, I had horrible experiences with that particular person, and he hates wizards, and I wasn't playing wizards, but he'd throw tantrums and do all sorts of crazy shit. And I was brand new to the game, and he just lost his shit. And I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? I'm freaking out. But I called him out on it. So over time, we've actually become mates. And I'm if I see that behavior, I'm like, no, 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 you step back, shush, think about what you're saying. And he actually came up after I think I talked about it. Yeah, he came up after us. I was during a skirmish actually and said, thank you. And I did really well, Melody. Be so proud of me. And this particular person's behavior had really negatively impacted this other person that messaged me. And he was like, I wanted to quit the game. But after watching our show with us talking about it, um, he felt a lot better, and he's like, "It's given me courage, blah blah blah." And thank you for having that conversation with that person as well. So that was my highlight. It was very emotional.
Mm,
I was at an armory when I got that message, and I'm reading it like, oh my goodness. But that's, that's why we have Pitch Perfect, right? Is like I said before, if we can touch one person, that's great. If we can make a change, we don't need to have 100,000 views a month. I don't care if we've got 100 people, and 10 of those people it makes a difference, or one person. Cool, we've done what we've set out to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. It's very special. Um, Last question that we have is from Celia, and it is just 2023 Fab wish list. I already said it back when we said Captive Goat, but my ultimate wish list, ultimate dream for Flesh and Blood is an adult Kasai. I will never play another hero ever again until she hit LL. If we had an adult Kasai, uh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Dog that's
Um,
it. Yeah, I don't. There's nothing for me.
Adult
Like
Kasai
we
is
did
all I
talk
want.
about it. I think having new dragons would be really
Nope.
cool.
Melody.
Oh
You
yes.
answered this question last time, and I loved your answer.
What did
Okay,
I
and it
say?
wasn't dragons. It wasn't
I
dragons.
can't
It was
remember.
like that
Oh yes,
Shiana has like a
Shiana.
twin. Yeah, please,
Yes.
please, please give us your
Okay.
theory real quick before
Okay.
we wrap
Okay.
it.
So what I'd like to see in 2023, I have a theory that Shiana actually has a twin, and I've theorized this for a long time, and I think the twin is dark. I think the twin potentially could be, because she's Shiana Diamond Gemini. I think it could be like Onyx Gemini, which is another stone, because Gemini is two, right? Usually Gemini, well, it refers to twins.
Right.
And I
Yep.
don't actually know if Shiana is the good little Shiana that we think she is. I wonder if the twin, I don't know, it could be a dark twin, but I don't know. I think there's some duality going on there. I don't know. That's what I think. And I would love to see it.
I think that'd be
And I
really
hope I
cool.
haven't ruined it, like if maybe
All
that
right.
was a
Well, that
thing,
is
but
all the time.
mm.
No, 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 no. You're good. I think that's awesome, and I also just real quick, like I love people who can just like think of lore like that. I don't know. I don't think I'm that creative in
You are
storytelling, but
hugely
anyway, I
creative.
loved. Okay, I said in storytelling, like that
Oh,
is just
okay.
like I love I don't know, I love hearing people's theories about that stuff. I think it's very creative, and I that stuck with me when you said that on the last episode. So I was like, if you don't say that here, I'm bringing it up
I
with
totally
the last
forgot that
episode
I'd
that
said it.
you've never heard. Yeah, I think it's really cool. Okay, we're gonna let you get back to work. But yeah, this was fun.
This was. Hopefully it was interesting for our listeners.
I hope so. Just a nice chilled episode.
Yeah.
We'll be coming at with bigger and better things i- in the year to come, and we're excited for it. Sorry this New Year's episode is very delayed,
Mm,
but we still wanted to answer these questions because we had a lot of fun answering them. I hope you had
we did.
fun listening to us answer them. There was yeah, but yeah. So
Awesome.
thank
All
you.
right, Kaki dear.
Until next time.